Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into some really fascinating material. It suggests our world and maybe even ourselves have recently gone through a pretty profound transformation. We're drawing from a unique source today. It's a transcript from a YouTube video. It shares a message from beings called Layti, or sometimes Arcturians. And they talk about these really intense cosmic events recently and, well, their surprising impact on human consciousness and our reality. Now, for anyone unfamiliar, these Arcturians, they're often described in, certain spiritual circles as highly evolved beings.
Right, benevolent extraterrestrials, essentially.
Yeah, believed to be guiding humanity's spiritual evolution, but from higher dimensions. So their perspective offers, a unique lens on all this cosmic activity. It's a lot to think about, frankly.
Absolutely. And our mission for this deep dive is really to unpack the specifics of these energetic shifts. We want to explore how they might have affected you personally and what these changes could mean for your life moving forward. So get ready. We're going to explore concepts that might just, redefine what you think is possible.
That definitely sets the stage, a profound shift. So what exactly triggered this transformation, according to the source? It points to a very specific, intense 8-day period, describing it as far from common days.
Not common at all. The description is you were immersed in frequencies much more refined than your mind can easily categorize.
Okay, refined frequencies. What does that actually mean?
Well, think of it like maybe your usual radio station, but suddenly you're tuning into a much clearer, higher fidelity signal. It was always there, maybe, but you just couldn't quite pick it up before. These refined frequencies are a bit like that, just a different quality of energetic information. And apparently, each sunrise during this time carried a persistent brilliance. It acted like a cosmic catalyst that, the message says, opened dormant chambers within your light body.
Okay, dormant chambers within your light body. That's a big concept. What exactly is a light body here?
That's a great question. Think of your light body as your energetic self. It's like a subtle energy field existing beyond your physical form. It holds your spiritual essence, your potential, almost like your soul's non-physical blueprint, maybe.
Okay.
And the message suggests it just got a significant upgrade. It was bathed in successive waves of higher light, which effectively started softening the edges of an old era built on separation and stagnation.
Wow. And how did this upgrade actually feel for people? The source mentions quite a spectrum of experiences.
Exactly, a real mix. Some people apparently felt these waves of enthusiasm and purpose. Sounds pretty good, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But just as many, maybe even more, reported experiencing a dense mental fog and bone-deep fatigue.
Right, which sounds less wonderful.
Much less.
Yeah.
But the reassurance here is key. Whatever you felt, it was supposedly part of a necessary realignment. It's described as a silent symphony of intelligent energy, rewriting silently the subtle energetic script of who you believe yourselves to be. That wasn't a punishment, just a process.
A process. Okay, but that raises a question. How can you tell if these shifts really happen, especially if the changes are subtle?
That's a really important point. The message invites you not to judge progress by old linear patterns. Don't look for the usual milestones.
So it's not about hitting some target.
No, it's more about trying to feel the subtle expansion of your perception.
Feel the expansion. Okay, so noticing changes in how you perceive reality itself. What are some of those telltale signs?
Precisely. You might notice little things like colors seem more vibrant, or maybe time seems different, kind of stretching and then snapping back.
Oh, interesting.
But here's where it gets really compelling, I think. Many people are apparently experiencing so many synchronicities that even the most skeptical parts of yourselves suspect something fundamental has changed.
Synchronicities. Those meaningful coincidences. They often do feel significant, even if you can't logically explain why.
Exactly. And the source argues these aren't random at all. They're seen as direct confirmation that you've personally crossed some kind of threshold. It's like your unique soul's GPS just recalibrated to a new, higher path, maybe.
And the synchronicities are like the new street signs.
Kind of, yeah, clearer signs. The message calls them clear signs that you have traversed a very real portal of transformation, and it's described as permanent and perfectly tailored to your soul's journey.
Permanent and tailored. Wow.
And what's really fascinating is thinking about what might have triggered such a big collective shift. This recent acceleration, according to the source, it was centered around a powerful series of events involving your sun.
Our sun? Really? So what did these Layti or Arcturians see that maybe scientists didn't or interpreted differently?
Well, what scientists observed and reported as a cluster of strong solar flares was apparently understood by these higher dimensional beings as something quite different. A deliberate transmission of light-encoded information.
Wow. So the flares weren't just eruptions, they were messages.
From this perspective, yes. They carried pulses of higher frequency instructions for your evolution, arriving in waves almost like drum beats, and each wave apparently had a unique energy signature or language.
Like a cosmic download, then. How did we actually receive these pulses of information? Did we have to do anything?
Imagine innumerable tiny packets of light traveling in the solar wind.
Okay.
They enter Earth's atmosphere and then gently integrate into your body and also into the planet's energy grid.
Huh.
But crucially, the message stresses these codes were not sent to control you or dictate your actions.
Right, that's important.
Very. They were sent to offer new possibilities.
Sure.
More like seeds of inspiration planted in the soil of your DNA.
That's a really powerful analogy, seeds of inspiration. And the message says, we receive these codes automatically.
Yes, the reception was automatic.
Right.
But the activation, that's up to you.
Okay, how do you activate these dormant codes then?
It's actually quite simple, according to the source, by simply noticing how you feel and perceiving the subtle differences in your life experience.
So noticing.
Just paying attention to those subtle changes. By doing that, you apparently bring these dormant codes to life. You activate what the source calls the crystalline blueprints within your cells.
Crystalline blueprints.
Think of it like this, maybe. Deep within your DNA, there's this latent potential, almost like an encrypted file.
Okay.
These light codes are the keys. They unlock that file and allow your inherent higher potential to start expressing itself. It's like a spiritual software update for your very being.
That makes it feel much more tangible. So what are some potential outcomes? What happens when these codes activate?
The possibilities mentioned are pretty significant. Your intuition may sharpen, for instance. And those old rigid stories you have told yourselves about who you are may begin to soften. Just dissolve a bit.
Letting go of old identities.
Exactly. This perspective suggests you're receiving the option, really, to step into a reality where compassion is a driving force, where maybe mind-to-mind connection, telepathy, begins to feel more natural.
Telepathy, wow.
Yeah, and where unity and cooperation become the logical way forward, not just idealistic, but logical.
Okay, so these are deep personal shifts, but what about the collective? Is something bigger happening on a global scale?
Absolutely. The message definitely highlights that. It says, a new level of human consciousness is emerging on the planet, like a higher wave of collective energy that transcends the old divisions of culture, ethnicity, and belief.
Transcending divisions. That sounds hopeful. And it brings a harmonious blend of qualities that once seemed opposite.
Yes, that's a really interesting part, a harmonious blend.
Can you give an example of what that means in practice?
Well, the idea is that the recent light codes helped recalibrate you, so your logical mind and your intuitive heart can work together as a team, finally on the same page.
Okay. Mind and heart working together.
Right. So you might notice qualities within yourself that used to conflict, now starting to work together. Like maybe courage comes with compassion, or sensitivity with strength, logic with intuition.
I see. Not either, but both hand.
Exactly. And stabilizing this balance, the source says, makes you a coherent being.
Yes.
Someone whose energies are aligned and working together smoothly.
Coherent. And what does this new coherence mean for how we interact with each other? Relationships, community.
Big implications there. Your relationships are likely to change in subtle but powerful ways. The message suggests those old push-pull dramas, the power struggles, they just won't attract you anymore. They might simply fade away.
That would be nice.
Wouldn't it? Instead, you'll find yourself drawn to uplifting, transparent, and mutually supportive interactions. Even casual encounters, it suggests, will start to feel warmer, more open.
So this sounds like the beginning of a new normal based on heart-centered connection.
Yes.
Where maybe challenges can be handled with compassion and clarity instead of conflict, like a collective ripple effect.
That's a good way to put it. Collectively, you and others are essentially forming a unity consciousness field on Earth. And just by maintaining this internal balance, you're transmitting a positive signal into that field. It's a field of higher energy that goes beyond the old divisions.
Looking at it from that higher perspective, all of these changes, the timing, the synchronicities, it sounds almost too perfect to be random. Was there some kind of orchestration behind it?
According to this source, absolutely yes. It says all these changes were orchestrated with exquisite timing and intelligence.
Wow.
During that specific 8-day window, it claims cosmic forces aligned to create the perfect conditions for transformation. You had planets forming supportive configurations, and the solar flares were precisely timed to leverage those alignments.
So it wasn't accidental?
Not according to this view. It was as if the universe itself was taking deep cleansing breaths.
Deep cleansing breaths. I like that image.
Me too. And each solar flare is described as having carried away outdated energies and narratives, clearing them like a strong wind blows dry leaves from a tree. So things like old timelines, meaning old ways of living, old ways of thinking that humanity no longer needs, were being burned off or dissolved to make space for new paths.
A cosmic clearing out.
Right. And many people felt this process really intensely. Some experienced abrupt mood shifts or these intense emotional releases that seem to come out of nowhere, just sudden waves of feeling.
Yeah, I've heard people mention things like that.
Others apparently had vivid dreams or visions. Maybe of structures crumbling, but then transforming into something new and luminous.
Okay.
And the source really wants us to understand, none of this was a sign that something went wrong.
That's crucial reassurance.
Definitely. It wasn't a personal punishment or a premonition of doom. It was framed as a collective reset and rebirth.
A collective reset. And if we connect that to the bigger picture, the source suggests we can think of the turmoil you see in the world.
Yeah, the social and political upheaval, the collapsing systems.
We can see that as like a storm that is discharging the accumulated tension in the collective energy.
Exactly. From this perspective, its purpose is to release energy and restore balance, ultimately making the air clearer and the earth nourished, energetically speaking. So this chaos, it served a purpose to ground the old negativity and make space for more subtle, higher vibrations to take root. It's a purification process just on a global scale.
That's a really powerful way to reframe what can feel incredibly overwhelming and scary.
It is.
But, you know, if old systems are crumbling, it's natural that some listeners might feel real sadness or grief. Does the message address that?
It does, very directly. It says if you felt sadness or grief seeing long-standing institutions, relationships, or belief systems crumble, no, your feelings are absolutely valid.
Okay.
It's okay to mourn what is passing. That recognition is actually seen as part of the healing process, like fertilizer that will nourish new growth.
Fertilizer, okay.
And the reminder is that creation and dissolution always work together. They're two sides of the same coin. The end of one cycle is the beginning of the next.
Right.
And the assurance is that nothing truly good or necessary is ever lost without something more aligned coming to take its place.
That's comforting. So, as all these intense, rapid changes are unfolding, how are we best encouraged to navigate them? The message really emphasizes loosening your grip on old definitions of yourself.
That's a huge point.
Yeah.
Really crucial. Things like jobs, roles, relationships, even spiritual identities that once felt really important might suddenly feel restrictive or outdated. And the source says this is not to leave you empty-handed, it's to set you free.
Setting you free.
Yeah, you're being freed from limitations that cannot accompany you into the new energy. And what's fascinating here is the advice that flexibility and adaptability are your best tools now.
Right, flexibility and adaptability, not rigidity, seeing them as signs of strength.
Exactly. Strength, not weakness. It's like receiving a blank canvas and a rich palette of colors instead of a rigid old map, as the source puts it.
I like that, a blank canvas.
So you're encouraged to trust those sudden intuitions or a heartfelt desire, even if it doesn't make logical sense at first, even if it means changing long-held plans.
But what about that discomfort? How do you know if the unease you feel during transitions is like genuine, wrong path, or just your ego freaking out because the old structures are gone?
That's a really practical and important question for navigating this. The message advises asking yourself, is this feeling a genuine misalignment, or is it simply my ego feeling insecure without the familiar?
Okay.
Often it says, it's just the uncertainty of change. The advice, breathe, remember, it is okay not to have all the answers now.
Phew, that's a relief.
Isn't it? Being in the flow means committing to following your truth in each moment, rather than desperately clinging to some predetermined identity or plan. And this kind of fluidity, it says, actually purifies your dedication. It releases obligations and attachments based on fear or old thinking, letting you put your energy into what truly resonates now.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what about our physical bodies? The source says they've also been through a lot during this upgrade.
Oh, definitely.
Many people apparently experienced ascension symptoms, things like dizziness, tingling sensations, irregular heartbeats,
Sudden waves of emotion, even tears out of nowhere.
bouts of extreme fatigue, or moments of inexplicable energy spikes, a whole range of weird stuff.
Exactly. And what's really important to remember, the source stresses, is that these symptoms are considered normal in this context.
Normal. Okay.
They're seen as signs your body is adjusting to higher frequencies, not necessarily indicators that something is medically wrong, though obviously check things out if you're concerned.
Right. Always good advice.
But the perspective here is that your body's doing a remarkable job of adapting to sustain more light. The analogy used is like upgrading the wiring of an old house. It can be disruptive while it's happening.
Upgrading the wiring. Okay. So what's the key to supporting our bodies through this intensive upgrade?
Essential self-care becomes really vital. Basic stuff, but crucial. Hydrate well. Eat whole foods as much as possible. Get enough rest. Spend time in nature. Even just a short walk or touching a tree can help ground you. Breathe slowly and deeply. Maybe listen to soft music or nature sounds. Meditate if that works for you.
Simple things.
Simple but powerful. And most importantly, be gentle and patient with yourselves. Talk to your body with love and encouragement. Apparently, your cells respond to your intentions, so creating that state of internal safety helps the energy integrate more smoothly.
Be kind to yourself. Got it. Moving to a broader view again, another really powerful aspect mentioned is that everyone around you is going through these changes in their own way.
Yes, that's key. This is a collective transformation, and everyone is in it together, whether they realize it or not.
So what does that mean for how we interact?
It means offering a helping hand, a kind word, or even just a compassionate thought to someone who seems to be struggling. That actually helps you too. Because unity and empathy are powerful aids on this ascension journey. We're interconnected.
Right, that makes sense. And then there's this fascinating perspective on galactic support.
Oh, yes.
The source suggests that many other beings from across the galaxy have been offering support and guidance, but from the higher realms. And some people may have even noticed their presence, perhaps seeing an unexplained light or craft in the sky, a shimmering orb, or a strange formation.
Yeah, things you can't easily explain.
Now, for some listeners, that idea, unexplained lights, crafts, could spark fear, or at least skepticism, not just curiosity. How does the source address potential anxieties around that, or the need to discern what's real?
That's a very valid point. The message is quite clear on this. These are described as interactions with your galactic family.
Galactic family.
Yes, and they reveal themselves apparently in small and gentle ways. The purpose is to help awaken humanity to the truth that you are part of a larger community of beings.
Okay.
Their intent is explicitly stated as not to cause fear. They approach with great love and respect for your free will.
Respect for free will, that's important.
Very. So if you do notice something unusual, or maybe just feel a warm, loving energy around you, the encouragement is to welcome it with an open heart. Because in those moments of awe and openness, you're apparently in the perfect state to receive telepathic messages and energetic downloads.
What kind of downloads?
Could be simple things.
Yeah.
Sudden idea, a burst of inspiration, or just a feeling of comfort washing over you.
Ah, okay.
And the message suggests that as humanity's overall vibration continues to rise, these kinds of contacts will likely become more frequent and more tangible.
Wow. That's a truly expansive idea. Looking ahead now, the source indicates that this isn't over. Even more powerful energies are on the way.
That's right. There's mention of a significant influx coming through the star Sirius. Yeah, which is described as serving as a portal for higher dimensional energies coming from the galactic center.
A portal. Okay.
So this next wave is expected to flow into Earth's energy grid and into each of you, activating the crystalline energy centers of the planet and also the crystalline structures within your own body.
Where are those?
In your DNA, your bones, your cells. Essentially, Earth is upgrading further, and you will upgrade along with it. It's a linked process.
Okay, another upgrade. And what's one of the key effects we might expect from this next wave, this Sirius energy?
One of the main expected effects is an even greater expansion of your heart center and your intuitive capabilities.
Heart expansion and intuition.
Yeah, your heart chakra will continue to open and act as a cosmic antenna, tuning into wisdom that goes beyond your personal human experiences.
A cosmic antenna in our hearts. That's a really vivid image. What kind of wisdom might we start picking up with this antenna?
Well, it means you might begin to receive vivid flashes of insight. Maybe during meditation, maybe in dreams. It could be like a glimpse of another time or place, or just a sudden and deep knowing about something. The source says this means you're accessing the universal collective mind and remembering more of who you truly are as a soul, connecting with knowledge your higher self already possesses.
That sounds incredibly powerful, but potentially overwhelming too.
It can be, which is why after receiving these bursts of high-frequency information or energy,
Right.
the source makes it clear it becomes very important to ground yourselves.
Grounding again. What does that mean practically after having a big insight or dream?
It means doing something simple, consciously, to connect with your body and the earth. Could be as basic as drinking a glass of water, eating a healthy meal, taking that walk outdoors again.
Right.
Maybe sitting with your hands literally on the ground. Or just doing some deep, slow breathing. This helps your nervous system and your mind adjust to those higher frequencies. It allows the wisdom and insights to integrate clearly and usefully into your actual life. Truly bridging heaven and earth, as they say.
Bridging heaven and earth. I like that. So as these new waves keep integrating, we're encouraged to change how we even evaluate our lives.
Yes, a fundamental shift in evaluation. The old paradigm, it says, relied so heavily on external measures.
Like what?
Bank balances, job titles, social media likes, the number on the bathroom scale, stuff like that.
Okay.
These are described as very limited indicators of true well-being. And the source says they'll serve you even less in this new energy.
So if not those external things, what should we use instead?
Instead, you're invited to orient yourselves by a different compass now. The feeling of alignment and love in your heart.
Love is a compass.
Yes. And love, in this context, isn't just an emotion or some romantic idea. It's presented as the fundamental creative force of the universe. The actual vibration that holds atoms together and makes galaxies spin. It's that fundamental.
Wow.
So when you make choices based on what truly resonates with love, what brings you genuine joy, peace, compassion, or enthusiasm, you're aligning yourself with this fundamental cosmic force.
Okay, aligning with the force of love. And what's the practical outcome of using that as your compass day to day?
The result, according to the source, is that your life begins to unfold with much more ease. Things just start flowing better.
Really? Even if the choices seem illogical?
Even then. The source says things have a way of working out wonderfully. You might find you meet the right people at the right time, or opportunities may appear out of nowhere. Others might just call it luck, or lots of coincidences, but you'll know it's resonance. You're vibrating in harmony with what's trying to come to you.
Resonance.
And in this state, abundance comes naturally. And that means all forms of prosperity. Financial support, yes, but also loving relationships, creative ideas, vibrant health, the whole package.
So you move away from that old belief that you have to struggle or compete or prove yourself worthy.
Exactly. You start to see that maybe these things were always available to you, like fruit on a tree. You just needed to align yourself to receive them. When you maintain your alignment with love and your inner truth, your own existence becomes an example that prosperity and success are not finite resources to be struggled over.
Right.
They're the natural byproducts of living in harmony with your true self.
Living in harmony. That's a beautiful way to think about it. Now, the message also reminds us that this integration, it's ongoing. It'll continue for weeks and months.
Yeah, it's not like flicking a switch.
Right. So you're still undergoing a transformation, even if things feel calmer now. What can we expect to notice unfolding over time?
Well, you'll likely notice subtle and beautiful changes unfolding within yourselves. Your intuition, for example, will probably become stronger and more immediate. And maybe compassion and kindness will become your more natural first response in situations. You might find yourselves feeling the emotions or needs of others more easily, but, and this is key, simultaneously feeling more stable and centered within yourself.
So not just getting overwhelmed by others' feelings.
Exactly. You're becoming open-hearted beings with a clear, grounded sense of who you are. And as you change internally like this, your external life will also shift to reflect this.
How so?
Well, some relationships or activities that used to interest you might just fall away.
Yeah.
Especially if they were built on negativity or who you used to be, your old self.
Okay.
And the guidance is simply to let them go with love and without judgment if possible, because you'll start attracting new relationships and community connections that resonate with your higher frequency. And these new connections will likely be marked by more honesty, mutual respect, and genuine cooperation.
That makes perfect sense. Things aligning naturally. And for those of us who are, natural helpers or healers, the message suggests our approach to helping others might need to evolve too.
Yes, that's a really interesting point. It states that in the past, you might have taken on more responsibility for others' pain than was actually helpful or healthy for you.
Yeah, that sounds familiar for some.
Right. Now, you're learning that the best way to truly help is to maintain your own alignment and shine your light, rather than trying to jump in and fix everyone else's problems.
So less fixing, more being.
Exactly. By staying centered yourself, you become a stable beacon of hope and inspiration. You naturally elevate others just by being in your calm presence. It's described as gentle but powerful leadership by example.
Leading by example through your own vibration. And the source says that in this new energy, the true impact of any action comes from the vibration it carries.
Think about that. It means a simple act of kindness or a project done with genuine love can actually create a massive wave of positive change. While conversely, grand actions made from a place of fear or ego will accomplish very little, energetically speaking.
So the intention, the energy behind it, is paramount.
Precisely. The advice is crystal clear. Let your heart be your guide in all you do. If a choice or action gives you that deep feeling of peace, joy, or inner certainty, that's your confirmation. It's aligned with your soul, and it will produce the greatest good for you and everyone else involved. By living this heart-centered way, you're fundamentally redefining success. You're measuring it not by external metrics, but by how true you are to the light of your own soul.
Measuring by truth to your own soul. I love that. But we know, even with all this positive change, you're still going to encounter remnants of the old energy day to day.
Oh, for sure.
News headlines, discussions filled with fear, anger, division, or hopelessness. The source calls these voices echoing from a past chapter that no longer carry the true impulse of creation. How do we handle that without getting sucked back in?
That's the challenge, isn't it? The advice is, it's very important that you do not allow yourselves to be drawn back into these old vibrations.
But how? Do you just ignore everything?
No. Doesn't mean ignoring problems. It means staying informed, perhaps, but more like an observer who gathers facts. Then you return to your heart, to that centered place, to decide on any action, rather than just getting swept away by the emotional tide.
Okay, observe, then choose from the heart. What about anger? That comes up a lot with world events.
Right. Anger can be useful. It can alert you to misalignment, but clinging to it, dwelling in it, will just deplete you. So when anger rises, the suggestion is breathe deeply. Acknowledge the feeling without judgment. Okay, I feel angry. Then consciously choose to shift it into a higher gear.
Shift anger into a higher gear. How?
Transform it into something constructive, like clarity, determination, and purposeful action, driven by love, not just rage.
So using energetic tools, maybe?
Exactly. The source even suggests visualizing. Imagine a soft, cleansing light dissolving any negative energy you've picked up. Then picture a golden light filling you with peace, clarity, and truth. Doing that signals to your mind and body that you choose to operate from a vibration of confident calm.
Confident calm, I like that.
Because the world needs you, the message says, to be a stable anchor of peace during these changing times.
Right.
You're here, potentially, to help usher in a new reality. And you'll be most effective if you can remain centered, replenished, and connected to your source of love and wisdom.
So it's not selfish to focus on your own state.
Not at all. It's essential. The source states that one person maintaining compassion is actually more powerful in creating positive change than thousands who are draining themselves with anger. Okay? So care for your own vibration first. Tend to your inner state. Then you'll know how best to respond to the outer world. You become a leader, not by force, but by your calm and loving presence.
That's a really powerful closing thought on navigating the world right now. Wow. This deep dive has truly unpacked some profound shifts described in our source material. What a journey, both personal and collective.
It really is. And the source invites you right now, perhaps, just to take a moment, to acknowledge how far you have come. This intense period we discussed, it was like a marathon for your body, mind, and spirit, seriously.
Yeah.
You allowed this cosmic light to pass through you, you released old layers, you navigated highs and lows, hopefully with courage and faith. Acknowledge that effort.
So what's the biggest takeaway? What's the reward for all this effort, this marathon?
Well, the reward, according to the source, is already within you. It's a new baseline frequency for your life.
A new baseline.
Yeah, you are now potentially operating at a higher vibration on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
And that shift in your fundamental frequency will change your experience of reality in beautiful ways.
How so?
Expect new opportunities and relationships to start appearing, ones that perfectly match this higher vibration. Maybe finding your like-minded soul family, discovering hidden talents, or maybe old dreams returning, but better than before, more aligned.
Nice.
The encouragement is to step through those doors with confidence when they appear. And importantly, allow yourselves to enjoy these positive developments. You've earned them.
Enjoy the good stuff. Got it.
And remember, your journey of growth is continuous. This recent leap wasn't the end point. It's the beginning of a whole new phase. You've reached a new vibrational level, yes, but you'll continue to receive updates, integration, firmly and safely. You are now, in effect, both receivers and transmitters of higher energies. You're actively co-creating the new reality on Earth.
Receivers and transmitters, co-creating. Okay, so a final thought then, something practical for our listener to take away from today's deep dive.
How about this?
Oh.
Consider how you might deliberately choose love as your primary compass in just one situation this week. Maybe a situation that might traditionally trigger fear, or irritation, or anger in you. Just try choosing from love instead, and then notice what new opportunities or what sense of ease might that single choice unlock for you. Just experiment.
Choose love as the compass. What might that unlock? A great question to ponder. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.